Well, in this talk, I would like to mention some of the good and nice traits I found in especially some of my close friends, mostly of Danish and you can say Christian background and Christian belief. And I've noticed some traits about these people that's really likable, and I would like to talk about that also in kind of appreciation of their support and friendship. I must also say these traits are to be found among several of my old Muslim friends and in the communities. So it's not only and solely a Christian trait, but I found it very, very dominating, and it inspired me and was a good connection for my mind and heart. And I also find it in some of the Jewish people I follow and I can see the talks of. And they believe in some of these traits as well. But I've seen them in practice, and that's what I want to talk about. Sometimes friends are like angels sent to you without wings to be there for you in your hardest times so you can have a shoulder to cry on, or a friend to give you a hand and sit beside you when you need it the most and just cry out or talk or laugh, just have a meal or a walk or a talk. And strangely enough, and I didn't expect that, it was also among the Danish community that I found this most. I must also say I found it in Greenland. Between some of these people I met there were some very, very kind-hearted and very warming souls and people that made me also feel good and relaxed and feel human altogether. And that was very, very important for me. Unfortunately, after the crisis of the cartoon, I didn't meet so much of that from my old Muslim community, and that was before I made my breakthrough and made my criticism of to look inward into the one who I was and where I came from and why I was the one I was, and that we all should look back into what we come from. So in this talk, without more delays, I would like to say a few words about especially some of the traits I found among some of my friends, and most of them were of Christian values and beliefs. The first trait was a kind of understanding mentality. Very rarely did I meet in these people a judgmental mentality towards me, neither in thought or in words. They were so different from so many others that I've met and talked about in a previous video about isolation and the harsh treatment psychologically. They were understanding and listening, and they were in many ways just different from the type of judgmental people I've usually met. And the other trait I found in these people were humbleness, and that was a kind of easygoing way about them. They never bragged about what they did, and they never talked too much about the good deeds they were going about doing. And I could find out later that some of these people, they were old, some of them, some of the old Danish generation, they go about doing a lot of voluntary work and carrying stuff and driving and helping and driving people to hospitals or to municipality and being there with them and for them. And that's the way they practice their belief and their values without speak. And that's what I later found out, that they had a motto from one of the scholars in the Middle Ages called Francis Assisi. He was a monk more than a scholar, but he said that show your faith with your deeds, not your words. And I think they have adapted that in different ways through the Puritanian ideas that came through from the Middle Ages and up into Europe. And so the humbleness, and they didn't seldom talked about what they did for others, or the workload they took on themselves, or the charity they gave to. They just knew that's what they want to do and what they should do. A third trait I found about these people is that they are sometimes also, like, they are confused. They can be confused about life and people just like everybody else, but in a way that makes it so calming and nice. It's not a confusion that makes you run away or feel that you are so sometimes their uncertainty, even about their faith, if you talk to them about it or confront them, they say, yes, it's an uncertainty, it's a mystery, it's something I can't explain, I'm not always sure, I can also have doubts. And they can talk to you about uncertainty about life, where it's going. They're never really truly sure about anything as a whole, and that's a Danish trait I've known for many years. But beneath that uncertainty they could show you is also a kind of just acceptance. That's what I want to say, actually, that this uncertainty and confusion makes them just accept. They say the Lord works in mysterious ways, and they tell you that when time comes, and then God acts, and things happens. So they have this deep founded belief that things will happen all in due time, and the light will shine through. And I love that. And so and one other trait, that's number 5, I guess, I reached to now, is their ability to talk, to sit in a conversation, especially the older generation. That's amazing. And that's something that's maybe lost in our times, where we all just sit and watch something on YouTube or video or these TikToks or what people are doing. It's like I'm doing now, a kind of monologues, and people just showing charts and videos and maybe dances and all other stuff, but there is no really conversation. And if you see the conversations on TV today, you find they are filled of a kind of competition and harsh arguments and sometimes criticism, and they never did that. I like that very much. They could sit and talk to you. They were good listeners, first and foremost. They could listen to you very deeply, and being understanding people, that makes it easier to listen. You could feel they were not judging you. They were sitting there thinking maybe about the Samaritan on the road who nobody picked up, but what that person that stopped for him was the one that was in favor in God's eyes. So they put themselves in a good favor by looking at that bad Samaritan they're sitting with, maybe me or somebody else, and understanding that people have all kind of hardships in life, and they are like God's angels on earth, or God's people. They don't even see themselves as angels. If they hear this word, they would laugh, and they will think of themselves as devils. And maybe there are small devils inside them, and I'm sure there are, but at least when they talk to you and sit and listen, they are good listeners, and they are good in dialogues. I have especially one of these friends who, not one, I can mention 2, 3, I've met with, at least, whom I have had very deep talks with. They were very, very good at it. They could listen and tap in what you are saying, and give you a reflection or a comment on it, and the talk would go on and on. It will never stop. You could sit for hours. And they found me also an interesting dialogue partner, because I had also kind of knowledge and experience and ideas about things, and that's what made it interesting, intriguing for them as well. But I was also trying to listen into what they were saying and answering. It was very beautiful and inspiring, and it always ended with giving you the ball back. So it was like a game of tennis, where you could say something, and then you give it over, and then you wait for the ball to come back so you could continue the comment. And that needs respect and non-judgmental mind, because if you are quick to judge the one you're listening to and not showing true understanding, you will not throw the ball back. You will throw the ball at his head, or you will leave the court of dialogue. And they never do that, even though sometimes I remember I've been harsh on some of them in my criticism, or maybe said some things that could doubt them. They were very calm and understanding, and waited for this cloud to pass. And maybe on the other side I could get irritated on some of their comments and ideas, and they knew that, and then we had to let this this cloud pass by as well. And so the ability to be in a dialogue was one of the good traits I could see in these friends. And they like to read. Many of these, they like to keep informing themselves. I know a few of them who are 80 now, 80, 81, and they keep looking for new books and stories, and if something comes out, they are the first to rush and buy it, and go home and start reading in that book. And when we have these conversations, they talk about it. I've just got this book and it's interesting, and I'm trying to see what's been said, and it was so they are sometimes remind me of a child who was reading for the first time. And that's beautiful, because then you can renew your mind every time you need something new, even though they must have been filled up with a life of books and readings, and a lot of books being published through the 80 years they have lived. But still, they could keep that mind of an open mind to read what's the new thing, and who has experienced something they could benefit from. And I don't know why I get this feeling, but it's like they are preparing themselves for an afterlife where all this reading would benefit them, or they would have a library or something, or they would be reborn as people who has already read so and so much, and they could continue from there their journey. So it was a beautiful experience to get close to these Christian friends. But let me mention one last trait that I find it's the compassion, or the belief in working on God's ways to bring compassion and bring love, and not love in that word people just use randomly. It's that kind of more compassion and understanding and heart softening ways. I think that's some part of their goal, that to soften up people's minds and thoughts towards each other, and especially people with stuck, closed-minded ideologies, who can use hatred, or can see people as all wrong, and this guy or these people are the only ones who are right. And maybe I was one of these. They think that by being in contact with me, they would also like inspire me to change my mind about things, or understanding, sometimes not even with words, but just by listening, and sometimes by asking questions. The ability to ask very good questions was one of these things these friends of mine had. That's what I call throw the ball back. They talk about something, but they never finish the topic, and they never finish you off. It's not like, I won the argument, shut up and let's get on, and I don't want to talk anymore. It's like more leaving the space open for another argument, or for an opposite idea, or for a rejection and opposition. That's very nice. Makes life in dialogue more appreciated, because it's not about who wins the argument, and it's not about disrespect for the one who's not right. It's about total respect for the human that's in front of them, and whoever it is speaking. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about these 5 traits in some of my friends, especially my Christian friends. And I know these traits also are among some Muslims, and among Hindu, Buddhist, and Jewish people. And I'm not saying that atheists and humanists are not good conversators, but I've just not had the pleasure of having them in conversations, and maybe some of them are in that what you call a sphere that I didn't really enter, because they are not working with changing people. uh, by dialogue or by inspiring them, whilst these Christian friends have it as a kind of mission to inspire people and talk to them through dialogue and through these meetings. Yeah, I'm not scared of any of that. I like it, and I can oppose it, and sometimes I can show appreciation for it and also change my mind about it. So it has been inspiring and also life-changing for me to have opened that door. And I think that was a door I knocked on from the beginning and brought these friends in, because I needed people to talk to. I needed good people to talk to. And God sent me these people, so there must have been a reason for that, why they did what they did. And unfortunately, none of the people from my Muslim background had this ability to knock on my door or to keep the conversation open. It was more judgmental, unfortunately. And I remember visiting the Jewish temple and the Jewish priest, what you call rabbi, and we had a talk and a conversation, but he was more of an explaining guy, and I told him I want to get back and have more talks with you, and he was okay with that, but I never got to it. Then I got another Jewish friend to talk to, and that was also fine. So dialogue and showing compassion, understanding, humbleness, and being sometimes in doubt of yourself and not really always sure of how things are, but trusting the higher force of God and light to interfere is some of these traits I found in the friends I've talked to. Thank you very much, and may they have a blessed and nice life, and I thank them for every moment they've given me, and I hope I have given something in return in these meetings as well, and I hope I did, by also inspiring them or making the talks more exciting.